Let's go to Ian Cole from up here from Orlando, Florida. This is something you started to talk about before.
Has it been really hard work being in the limelight and still being, what seems to be very genuine, honest guys? Or, was it just luck?
I think it's a combination of things. We are pretty soft-spoken guys generally, so part of that is our upbringing. I don't know what else to say. It's hard to have that kind of perspective on yourself. We just are who we are. Sure, there are moments that it's difficult, especially on tour, where you're constantly thrown into a public situation and there's demands on your time. And at one point in our career, we were very uncomfortable with that. And there were lots of fans asking for autographs all the time. And we didn't know how to deal with it. So we just kind of ran away from it. And then we realized, well, that's just dumb because you just create a negative experience. And now, to me, I just think it's a nice, pleasant hello and sure, no problem. And you get a moment to chat, and most people are happy to go on their way, and you realize that you've turned a potentially negative experience into a very positive one. So that's part of years and years and years of being in a band and trying to figure out how you're going to be in a band and still be yourself.
You seem to be doing a lot of celebrating on stage this tour. You've always been the masters of technical perfection on stage, and a couple shows recently. You seem to just be having a lot of fun. Is that celebration going to continue into the future with future tours?
I hope so.
Well,
go ahead.
I was just going to say, after the experience with Neil, I think we sort of came to realize that, your life can change just like that. And this thing that we do that we've done for so long that sometimes you take for granted, you really shouldn't. And I know for myself, I get on stage every night and I think this could be the last time I'm here in this city doing this. So I'm going to really have a good time and be very positive and love every second of it. And it's really been like that. It really started on the last tour, but this tour, that in combination with the fact that it's our 30th anniversary, and I look over at this guy and I think, my God, I've known him since I was 12, 13 years old, and the things that we've experienced together, not only this crazy, ridiculous thing that we do in the band, but everything that we've shared and, as two guys, just two friends growing up, makes it really, really special, and it should be celebrated.
He won't go away. I'd just like to add something to that a lot of the reasons we smile on stage and are having so much fun is because of you guys. Because when we came out on stage in Hartford at the beginning of the last tour, it was a very emotional day for us. We had been through a lot. And to see you guys out there smiling like that and giving us such a warm response just made us smile. And really, for the last two tours, I haven't stopped smiling. I get such a nice vibe from you guys out there that it just makes me feel great about what I do. And I think the same is true of Alex and Neil. So
it's wonderful to see your audience leaving the show laughing and like in a really, really good mood. I mean, there's lots of funny little things that we've included in video and goofing around, Stringato, the rap, the terrifying rap, and all of that stuff. But it is just such a wonderful compliment to see your audience leaving feeling really happy. It's a real treat to see.
The other side of that coin are, for years, critics just wouldn't give you the time of day for being as good a band as you were. And I'm sure that stings sometimes. It did early on, and I can't believe it didn't. But you've proved them all wrong, and now it doesn't. Does that faze you at all? When you put an album out, or you do shows, or do you read that stuff? Do you care?
I try not to pay too much attention to the good or the bad reviews. And it's true that in the early days there was some pretty harsh stuff said about us, and that was hurtful, of course. But that's part of being in the business. If you're going to go out there and put your music on display, you've got to take the opinions people throw at you. That's, nobody made me do this for a living. It was my choice. So that's fair enough. And as the years have gone on, certainly there's been huge change in the way we're received, largely. So, you just take it with a grain of salt. When they're overly gushing or when they're overly critical, it's all amounts to the same thing. You just kind of take it with a grain of salt.
You have a visual component to what you do that I've always found fascinating. Two things. This flies in the face of what every marketing guru would say because, you're supposed to stick with what you start with. Your logo changes every time you turn around. So what's the process when you, and your album covers, you have just some of the best album covers that have ever been out there. You always look at them and go, what's this album going to be about? Because that's the first place you come to when you watch it. So tell me what the process goes on between the three of you and whoever else you work with on those two things.
Well, there's an artist, Hugh Syme, whose first album cover he did for us was Caress of Steel. He was a musician from Toronto that we knew, who was also an artist, and right away him and Neil just clicked. Neil really initiates the artwork. Once we have an idea of what the album is going to be, musically and lyrically, he ships all that stuff off to Hugh, and they start throwing ideas back and forth. And once they have some concrete ideas, they bring it to Alex and I, and then we start with our opinions. And it's very much the way we write a song. Somebody initiates it, but everybody gets involved at some point. But it's largely Neil and Hugh that do the art concepts.
And the logo for the band?
Yeah, and the logo early on, Hugh said, you guys are always changing. I think your logo should always be changing. And I think that's totally appropriate.